Alright, you lot. Welcome back to Hey Scotty, where I take your questions and respond like a Yorkshire pub landlord who's just found out his Wi-Fi's down, beer's warm, and darts team's defected to Fortnite. No filter, no PR bullshit, just my mouth, your questions, and enough scorn to curdle milk. We've got sweaty matches, dead games, corporate laziness, and slow cultural death of gaming as we know it. All served with a pint of rage and a chaser of gallows humour. Buckle up, we're going in raw. This question comes from Silverbullet90, and he says, why does Call of Duty feel much more infuriating nowadays than before, despite cheating being a long-going issue? It's like I can barely play for more than an hour these days. Mate, that's question at decade, innit? Why does Call of Duty feel like trying to do yoga on a minefield now, when we all used to bang it for 6 hours straight and still come back for more? Honestly, I wasn't going to add this question in, cause my little series this week about Call of Duty pretty much shows you why. But here's some things I don't say in those videos. So here you go. Let's start with obvious suspect. As you said, cheaters. Yeah, they've always been around, but these days, it's like they're breeding. Back in day, a Warlacker had tried to keep it subtle. Now they're running full spin bots in broad daylight. 30 bombing in ranked lobbies like it's an audition for Skynet. And Ricochet? Anti-cheat that promised world and delivered a soggy apology note. Honestly, it's about as effective as a security guard asleep at front desk, letting robbers walk right in and high-five him on way out. Then there's community shift. Used to jump in with mates, have a laugh, maybe get your ass handed to you by some quick-scoping freak and laugh it off. Now it's all KD ratios, meta loadouts, and shouting into void cause half at lobby's muted and other half are one insult away from a false psych eval. Social aspect's gone. COD used to be a pub fight simulator. Now it's a job interview with guns. Add to that skill-based matchmaking, SBMM, soul-sucking algorithm that turns every casual match into a sweat-drenched war crime. I sort of touch on this in videos, but let's talk about it a bit here. Used to be you'd get a nice mix, a few decent players, a few potatoes, and a few people clearly stoned out their minds. Now it's wall-to-wall movement demons who've memorised every jump spot on every map and only come up for air between ego tweets. This isn't just matchmaking, it's performance management. Win too many games? Boom. Punished. You're in Blender now. Getting stomped too hard? Don't worry. System will chuck a bot team at you to reel you back in. It's manipulative. You're not allowed to have consistent fun, only carefully curated frustration loops. It's not about balance, it's about retention metrics. Throw in live service pacing, endless cosmetics, time-limited challenges that practically demand your blood type, and yeah, it's not fun anymore. It's work. It's admin, with bullets. So why can't you play more than an hour? Because game's not built for joy. It's built for engagement, and engagement in 2025, that means keeping you stressed, on edge, and chasing that one match that might feel like old days. But hey, some games still get it right. Go sniff around indie scene. There's fun out there. Just don't come with a battle pass. Cheers for that, matey. This question comes from my pal Firkinell, and he says, Hey Scotty, with imminent closure or XDefiant, what's left but real casual gamer that don't include being robbed, coerced and manipulated? Do we have a place to go? Oh, that one hit me right in sack, mate. XDefiant going under were like finding your favourite pub boarded up. Sure, it had sticky floors and a dodgy jukebox, but it were ours. No SPMM, no overpriced anime skins, no unicorn operators doing TikTok dances. Just shoot, respawn, repeat. Now it's dead. Not cause it were bad, but cause Ubisoft won't commit, won't promote it, won't support it. They tossed it out into wild like a stray dog, and then acted surprised when wolves ate it. So what's left but real casuals? Ones who just want to come home, log in, blast some rounds, and not feel like they're on trial for war crimes. Well, let's break it down. Splitgate 2 drops next week. Sure, it's open beta, but it leads into full release. And yeah, I know some folks hated Jetpack era of COD, and others might not vibe with Portal mechanics. But credit where it's due. Splitgate scratched an itch we didn't know we still had. Arena shooters with vertical movement, headshot satisfaction, and none at buy this battle pass to unlock double sprint slide cancels. And it's free. So if devs don't get bought out and screwed by some vampire publisher, there's hope there. Halo Infinite, yeah, still a decent shot for a relaxed pew-pew when it behaves, but 343 have attention span are a gnat on Red Bull, and sport's been shakier than a pensioner at a rave. Casual friendly when it works, but don't expect consistency. Fortnite no build. Yeah, no, Scotty's gone soft. But hear me out. No building, just bang bang and fun cosmetic. And you don't need to sell your nan to unlock them. You can still jump in, muck about, and it's still shockingly unsweaty. Unless you accidentally queue up with 12-year-olds who've just discovered aim assist. Indie game. Honestly, this is where real casual magic is hiding. Games like BattleBit Remastered, Combat Master. They're not perfect, but they're made by people who still like games, not by accountants disguised as developers. They don't care about playtime metrics, they care if you're having a good time. What's problem then? Problem is trust. Casuals have been burned so many times they don't know where to land anymore. Every game asks you to just give it a shot, but behind curtain it's loot boxes, power creep, FOMO mechanics and currency systems so complex they need a tax consultant to decipher. We've been coerced, manipulated, milked, lied to, tossed aside the moment we stopped swiping our credit cards. AAA industry don't want casuals. We're not valuable enough. We're not whales. We're not stream bait. So do we have a place to go? Yeah, but we have to find it ourselves. It won't be handed to us. You gotta sniff it out, try them, support smaller devs, and be vocal as hell when something feels right. Because if we don't, only place we're going is into graveyard next to XDefiant. Thanks for the question, mate. This question comes from our regular firebug, Pyro-friendly arsonist 9195, and it says, Hey Scotty, any thoughts on extraction shooters and game companies wanting to do the same? Pyro, mate, you've just asked gaming equivalent to why does everyone suddenly want to hop on a burger van? Answer, because they saw one bloke make money doing it, and now they think the Gordon Ramsay with a rifle. Let's start with genre itself. Extraction shooters can be bloody brilliant, tense, strategic, adrenaline-soaked. Every bullet you fire could be your last, and every item you pick up could be your ticket home or bait that gets you blasted. I genuinely enjoy some of them. COD's DMZ mode, had a blast. Modern Warfare Zombies, same. It hit that sweet spot between tactical and chaotic. Run in, loot place, fight off bots, double cross another squad, and bail with half a mag and a prayer. Chef's kiss. But here's the thing, I don't enjoy all of them. Take out Raiders for example. I hyped that game up like it were gonna be second coming of Firefall. Concept was solid, trailers were slick, gunplay looked tight, and then I played it. Mate, what a snooze fest. Looks great, sounds amazing, but it's just a massive survival flavoured fetch quest with Pacer a pensioner in sand. No tension, no real drive. Only time I actually had fun was when I stopped playing like devs wanted and just ran at robot hordes like a suicidal maniac. Got mulched, obviously, but it was the only time I felt out. And don't even get me started on Delta Force or Tarkov clones, because that's what most of them are, clones. Half-baked asset flip knockoff with systems stolen from other games and none at art. There's no innovation, no identity, just another checkbox for suits. Gun, extraction zone, FOMO loot, crypto-style progression tree that no one understands. It's Battle Royale syndrome all over again. PUBG 8, Fortnite exploded, Apex carved out its niche, and every other publisher said, quick, slap together a BR mod and throw it at wall. Most of those games are now buried in digital graveyard next to Lawbreakers, Hyperscape, and other cautionary tales. Same crap, different mode. They don't want to build something unique, they want to exploit a trend. Problem is, extraction shooters are hard to design well. If you screw up loot balance, PvP-PvE ratio, or risk-reward loop, it collapses faster than Ubisoft's community trust. So yeah, I like genre, but I'm tired of seeing it abused by publishers who think content loop is just another buzzword to staple onto the pitch deck. You want to make a great extraction shooter? Do it cause you love tension. Do it cause you got a world to build. Not cause some boardroom prick said, we need to capture Tarkov audience. Cheers for the question, Pyro. Here's a cracker from our mate Ages444, and he asks, what will gaming culture look like or be viewed as in future? Archaeologist style. Right. Let me just slip into me dusty old leather jacket, grab me whip, and pretend I ain't spent the last 2 decades shouting at loot boxes. Time to go full Professor Scotty McJones, Raiders that lost KD ratio. So picture this, it's year 3127 AD. Earth is a smouldering ball of late-stage capitalism ash. Oceans are full of USB-C cable, and humanity's remnants now live in underground bunkers powered by rage-bait thumbnails and last surviving Elden Ring server. In the middle of it all, a lone archaeologist, brushing dirt off a long-forgotten object, a physical copy of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022, Deluxe Waifu Skin Edition. And what do they find inside case? Note. Because it's just a digital key tied to an extinct server and a code for 500 COD points that expired before the game even launched. So what does our brave future historian do? To speculate, to piece together a vision of what gaming must have been based on ruins, like we do with ancient pottery, except instead of wine jugs it's Dorito-stained Xbox controllers and abandoned Twitch archives. They'll assume games were some kind of tribal warfare ritual, with strange dances afoot battle, emotes, elaborate decorative armour, skins, and sacred offering battle passes, paid in virtual currencies backed by no economy and less common sense. And don't forget streamers. To future scholars, these people will be seen as digital prophets, shamans, high priests or algorithmic faith, speaking in tongues like, "Yo guys, smash that sub," and performing sacred rites like opening 800 loot boxes while screaming for dramatic effect. They'll think poggers were a real language, and L plus ratio was some sort of clan war insult used to settle disputes in place of actual diplomacy. And they'll find forum posts. Dear God, they'll unearth Reddit archives. "Buff shotgun, nerf aimsys, this game's dead." Whole digital Rosetta Stone or entitlement, burnout, addiction, and passion, all filtered through an alphabet soup of misspelled rage. They'll think we lived and died by patch notes. And somewhere deep in a server vault, buried under a glacier, they'll crack open a corrupted hard drive and discover a pristine Warzone lobby, frozen mid-match. One guy camping in a toilet, one kid screaming racial slurs, and a level 3 cheater sprinting backwards up a wall with 90 kills and a username that just says, "Yeah mum." And archaeologists will stand there stunned and say, "What actual?" So what do they learn from it? Because after they've laughed themselves sick over our emote dancers, our toxic lobbies, and rise and fall of Fall Guys, eventually they'll start connecting dots. And those dots, they'll paint a much bleaker picture. They'll realise that gaming wasn't just play, it were escapism under siege. They'll see our entire generations escaped into these digital realms, not cause they were fun, but cause real world were collapsing, cost of living through roof, mental health in bin. Governments playing clown roulette every 4 years, so people turn to gaming, first for joy, then for survival. And at first, games delivered. They gave us worlds, friends, purpose, hell, memories. But then came parasitic monetization. Games stopped being games and became platforms, live services, content delivery units. Fun were replaced by fear of missing out, cosmetic FOMO, power creep. You didn't play anymore, you grinded. For skins, for ranking, dopamine scraps dangled from a loot-shaped stick. And our archaeologists will stand in that digital museum and whisper, they were being farmed. Because that's what it became, data farming. Emotional manipulation dressed up as progression. Every match analysed, every click tracked, every behaviour mapped to a spreadsheet in some office where a suit in LA says, "Hey, if we had a limited time skin, engagement goes up 4.7%. And don't get me wrong, they'll seek beauty too. They'll find mods built by fans decades after devs abandoned game. They'll see communities keeping old servers alive out of pure spiteful love. They'll read posts where strangers became lifelong mates through one lucky revive in Left 4 Dead or a clutch win in Siege. They'll realise gamers fought for the joy, even while industry tried to sell it back to them one skin at a time. And in Final Room at Archive, they'll stand before a monument. Towering statue made of corrupted hard drives and discarded game boxes, and engraved at bottom in binary and blood, will be final message, press F to pay respects. And they'll nod solemnly and say, this was their religion. Then they'll leave museum, climb into their overtram, go home and plug themselves into Dark Souls VR Remastered Deluxe Director's Cut, only on Tesla Game Plus, because some legacies you just can't kill. Cheers for question ages. And that's a lot for this week's Hey Scotty. Big thanks to Silverbullet90, Birkinell1, Pyro Friendly Arsonist 9195, and Ages 444. Absolute legend. All of you. Got your own questions? Drop it in comment, Discord, or scribble it on back of Greg's wrapper and tape it to a pigeon. Actually, no. Don't do that. Join Discord, follow on X, consider a channel membership if you want more of this deranged wisdom leaking into your week. Smash like, hit subscribe, keep those questions coming. If they're not total bollocks, just might make it into next episode. I'll see you next time, you magnificent.